Hey, 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 top of the morning to my people over here on the West Coast, man. It is 8 a.m. We up early around here. Well, at least I know I'm up early. For some of you guys, it may be 10, 11 o'clock. But, man, today I got my boy on here, Mr. ALS. If you guys don't know him, it's time to get to know him. Like I said, I've met him a couple times, talked to him, and now, like I said, man, we putting him in the hot seat on going live with Bowtie, man. So I'm gonna bring my boy over here to the screen, and dude, let's shoot your questions, man.
Morning,
What up?
everybody. We're here from Plano, Texas. A little later than 8 a.m. here. Got to sleep in a little bit this morning, but appreciate you having me on the show. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man, it's good, good, man. I appreciate you coming on, bro. Like, man, it's a Saturday. I say I try to get you in and get you out early so you can keep going on.
Hey, you picked, like I said, I told you earlier, you picked a good day. It seems like it's going to be raining outside today, so probably going to be staying in most of the day.
Man, that sucks, dude. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, bro.
Yeah, I live here in Plano, Texas. 29 years old. Been bowling professionally on tour for this was my fourth full season. I got started bowling a little later in life than most people did. I didn't actually start bowling until I was 15. So definitely got started a lot later. Baseball was always my number one passion. I played baseball year round. Pretty much took up all of my time. Buddy of mine just happened to ask me one day. His mom ran the Saturday morning youth league and was like, "Hey, you want to come bowl league with us? We don't have much going on during the summers on Saturdays, so you want to come bowl?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've bowled before. I'll give it a whirl." And from there, man, it just kind of took off. Baseball didn't really end up panning out, as it doesn't for most people. And so I started focusing a little bit more on bowling. And by about my junior year of high school, I was the Texas high school state champion, and just kind of parlayed from there. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of an interesting story. Most people it's I've been bowling since I was 2, 3, 4 years old. Parents owned a bowling center,
Yeah.
worked at a bowling center, something like that. But for me, yeah, like I said, I didn't start till I was 15. Not a ton of family ties to bowling. My dad bowled league occasionally when he was younger. He was like maybe a 1 week a league guy or one
Yeah.
league a week guy. But yeah, not a whole lot of family ties to bowling or anything like that. So yeah, kind of a different story there.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I love this show, dude, because everybody has a different story. And like I said, your story already has become, intriguing just for the simple fact that you started so late and it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You definitely don't hear about many people picking something up that much later in life and becoming a professional or something like that at it. So
No, not at all. Ooh, where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Austin, Texas, but I only lived there. I didn't live there very long, only maybe 6 months, 8 months, and then we moved to Warwick, Rhode Island, which is where I really claim is my home. A lot of my family lives up there. You know, it's really where I felt like I grew up at. It's really where I feel like I call home. So definitely Warwick, Rhode Island. We always try and make a trip up there every year. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get up there in the last couple of years with the schedule and everything, but
Right.
definitely where I claim to call home. After Rhode Island, lived in Michigan for less than a year. Moved to Houston, which is where my parents still live.
Okay.
We moved down there for my dad's work. I moved up to Dallas to go to school, and I've been in Dallas since I was 18, so about 11 years now.
Okay. So after high school, you went to college?
Yeah, so like I was talking about it a little bit on my live stream I did the other day. I wasn't a great bowler when I was a kid. I was okay. I had some shining moments here and there, but yeah. So like going to Wichita or going to McKendree wasn't what it is now when I was bowling, but Wichita or Lindenwood or school like that wasn't really an option for me. Not for somewhere I wanted to go bowl. So
Right.
I went to North Texas for. To go bowl essentially. I had some really good friends that went there. Their team was decent, and so me and my brother both decided that we were going to go there,
Okay.
and felt like that we could make the team a lot better. And it was pretty successful the first year we bowled. We won all 4 of the conference tournaments we bowled, so we were conference champs. We won the Las Vegas Invitational, the Tier 1 event that was held at Sam's Town in Vegas. So we won that tournament. So we were a pretty successful team. We finished 5th at sectionals, so missed nationals by 1 spot. So,
Ooh.
yeah, ended up coming up there to bowl. Unfortunately, college bowling just really wasn't for me. Without without being a big organization like Wichita or Lindenwood or schools like that, it was more left to us to determine things.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of arguing, a lot of bickering, a lot of people not getting along. So after about halfway through the second year, I just kind of decided it wasn't for me. Focused a little bit more on school and my own personal bowling from there. And yeah, I just found out how big the bowling scene was here. There's a ton of stuff to bowl here. You're within, I can find something to bowl within 4 hours pretty much every weekend. So kind of just, even though I stopped bowling for the school, I decided to plant my roots here and, base this as my home.
Okay, so when you stopped bowling at the school, when you continued your education, did you graduate?
No, I didn't. So I got through about the second year of school and I started bowling full time, but not professionally full time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those decisions for me that I felt that I could make more money bowling than I could with just a 4-year degree from a school. And so instead of burying myself in more student loans and things like that to finish school, I just decided that, okay, well, I'm going to give bowling a shot. I'm going to see what we can do for the next year or two. If it doesn't pan out, then we can always go back to school. I've got 2 years under my belt. I've only got 2 years left.
Right.
I really, really want to try this bowling thing, and I really want to see if it pans out. And fortunately for me, it did pan out, and here we are today. Caught a couple good breaks, won some big tournaments right off the bat. The very first the very first adult tournament that I ever bowled, I actually won. So got off to a really good start. Was pretty fortunate there. 2014 was what really boosted my career when we won the team event at the Open Championships. That was what really funded me to start bowling professionally was, that tournament. So we got pretty fortunate there to pull off a big win like that pretty quick into my career.
So, like, you mean USBC championship?
Yeah, we won the team event at the 2014 Open Championships. We were the team that has the 37-20 record.
Wow.
I was a part of that. I was a part of that team. Yeah.
Wow. So you
And
got your
I was only 23 at the time.
Yeah.
So that was really, really what jump started my career and really what, funded the start of my, professional bowling career because for the most part, I've, pretty much outside of maybe like a small 2-year stretch, I've pretty much funded, my own way to do everything that I've done.
Yeah. All right. Hey, tell us about the Anthony came from Pasadena to the Anthony that you are now.
I'm going to say the biggest difference from the Anthony that was in, Pasadena to the Anthony I am now is definitely the attitude. Yeah, it was a little rough there for a while. I had a pretty poor attitude when it came to a bowling and pretty much anything. I was always so hard on myself, when I didn't succeed, but the problem was I would end up taking it out on other people, when I'd lose. When I'd lose to people that I didn't feel like I should lose to, or, if somebody threw a Brooklyn or whatever, like it was the end of the world. And, instead of shaking it off and moving on, I was not nice to some people, and I'm going to, be completely honest with you. And, I'm pretty fortunate that I fell into a pretty good group of friends here. I have a very, very good support system here. Really, really put some things into reality for me when I was I'd say probably 21, 22. They really, really helped me out a lot, really helped me get my attitude in check because, you can't do anything for a living and compete like that. Like, when everything's the end of the world and you're getting mad at every little thing that goes wrong and, throwing temper tantrums and getting mad at other people, it just doesn't work, and it makes it worse and it makes you look like a bad person and then nobody wants to work with you and things continuously just keep spiraling out of control. And, I got pretty fortunate early on, was pretty young still and was able to see it and realize it and had some people help me out along the way. But that's the biggest difference. Now I love talking to people. I'm like anybody that competes for a living, is going to have a moment here and there. But they're rare and they're few and far in between. I always try and help people the best I can now. I'm very, active and talking to people. Like I said, I always try and go through and answer all my Facebook messages if anybody has any questions like that. So I think that's definitely the biggest difference.
That's cool there. Hey, tell us about when you first came to Dallas. Were you a fan, or they didn't like you at all?
Yeah, so I was a little arrogant, and I had the attitude. So a lot. I mean, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people didn't like me. I will tell you that two of my best friends right now, their names are Scott Knack and Brian Losey. They are two of my absolute best friends. I consider them family. We used to hate each other. Like, we used to go at it all the time, and a lot of it was because my attitude was so bad. But
Yeah.
it seemed like on a weekly basis, we were getting into it with each other and exchanging words and whatever else. And they're two of the biggest people that helped me realize how bad my attitude was, and how much better of a person I could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hear it all the time. People tell me all the time that they couldn't wait till I moved up, and so they could start taking my money when I bowled adult stuff, and that it was going to be a reality check, and that this little punk kid that they just can't wait till I move up to adult leagues and bowl in adult tournaments, so that they can take my money and show me that I'm not that good and everything like that. And I have to say, I used a lot of that as fuel to fire myself up and fire my career. And I put a lot of work into this, because I didn't want any of those people to be right. I mean, you're always going to have people that doubt you, and always going to have people that don't like you. But, that's what I use to fuel myself. And that's what I use to, I don't want those people to ever be right. You're going to lose, you're going to fall down.
Oh, absolutely.
I want those people to be right about me as a person and about me as my career.
Hey, like I said, if you made a change, that's for sure, dude. Hey, growing up, how was it growing up with Sean, man?
Yeah, man, it's great. I mean, it's, we're like any other brothers. We always, we've had our battles, we've had our fights, we've had our fist fights and things like that. But man, in reality, like, it's really, it's really cool having somebody there to always do stuff with. Like, anytime I wanted to go out and play catch, or, I had somebody that I could go play catch with. Anytime I wanted to play a video game or anything like that, I always had somebody to go play a video game with. So it was really cool always having somebody to basically have a friend there. I mean, it's like, you think about it when you're a kid and you get so excited when your friend comes over, because now you've got somebody to play with or whatever. Like, man, like, I always had somebody, like, always had somebody to go out with, ride bikes, play video games, whatever I wanted to do. I always had a friend there that I could go do it. And like I said, I mean, we went through a period of time in college where we didn't get along very well. But all that's in the past now. We get along really well now. But yeah, I mean, it was great, man. It was really, really great experience.
There you go. Hey, how did you make the transition from city superstar to regional star to now having a great success on the PBA?
Yeah, so I started bowling local tournaments. My brother actually started bowling regionals, quite a bit before I did, probably 2 years before I did. And yeah, so I had a lot of success in the local tournaments, and so Sean was having some success at the regional tournament. So I was like, well, I want to give this, a shot. So I started bowling regionals, and man, started having a lot of success really, really quick. The first regional that I bowled as a member, I finished third. So I had a lot of success early on. 2015, I believe it was. I'd won a regional, one regional or two regionals by that time. So I was eligible to bowl the TOC. So a couple buddies of mine, they were like, well, hey, we'd really like to pay and sponsor you to go bowl the Masters when it was in Ashwaubenon, and the TOC when it was at Woodland. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I'm ready for all that and whatever. And they're like, no, we know you're ready. We want to send you up there. We want to take this chance. And I'm like, okay. I said, all right, man, let's do it.
Yeah.
So went to Ashwaubenon, bowled the Masters. I believe that was probably my first big PBA event, and finished 10th. So I was like, okay, this is a good start. Like, I know I can compete out here. I was like, let's see what happens next week. So we went to the TOC next week. Made the top 24 there. I think I finished 20th or 21st. I didn't do very well in match play, but made match play there as well. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is something I can do.
Right.
Went home. Those were the only two events I bowled. Didn't bowl the rest of that swing. During the summertime came around, and they did the summer swing in Shawnee, which was it's only about 2.5 hours from my house. So
Okay.
again, kind of the same thing. A different buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I'd like to sponsor you to go bowl this. Would you like to go do it?" I'm like, "All right, we'll see what happens."
Right.
And went up there and absolutely had a phenomenal tournament. Made the top 16 in the Wolf tournament. Finished, I don't know, 13th or 14th there. The Badger tournament was actually my highest singles finish for a while. I finished 7th in the Badger tournament. I only missed the show by 30 or 40 pins. And then the overall tournament, I finished, I think, 7th or 8th as well. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I've bowled 5 tournaments. I know I can do this for a living. So 2016 was the first year that I started bowling the pretty much the entire swing. I still didn't really bowl the kind of one-off tournaments and the extra frame tournaments at that point, but I bowled the entire I bowled the World Series, the Masters, the U.S. Open, pretty much bowled all the big events. And then 2017, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not missing anything. I'm going to bowl everything. And since then, we've just been progressing since then.
There you go, man. What is the most grueling pattern out there that you bowled on?
Whatever we bowled on day 3 at the U.S. Open this year. I think it was 40. No, I think it was shorter than that. I think it was 37-foot flat. It was funny because it was actually the same pattern that we bowled on in Wichita for the most part when we bowled the U.S. Open in Wichita. But for some reason, with that lane surface and the oil they decided to use this year, it was impossible. I never in my life would have thought that 100 under was a good score. Like
100 under.
100 under, yeah. I don't know if you've got the chance to go look at those scores or if you really paid attention. But if you go, you need to go look if you get a chance. Look at day 3 U.S. Open this year. The scores, it was unbelievable. I think it was something like 7 people went plus for that day. 720. Yeah, I mean it was absolutely insane. There was 3 or 4 guys that were in the top 15, and they bowled 220 under to not make it. And we're talking about really, really good bowlers too. And man, it was one of those things. It just didn't seem like anything you did worked. You throw a shot or two, and you feel like you'd have it, and then all of a sudden the next five wouldn't do anything remotely close. Like it was by far the hardest thing that we've ever bowled on.
Dude, that's crazy. How do you continue to just grind when you come across something like that?
Yeah, that one was a little bit different. Generally you can guess kind of the scoring pace, and I will say that we were pretty fortunate there that we bowled B squad. So we bowled the second squad that day. So we all felt like in practice it was going to be pretty hard, but it's kind of hard because you never see scores that low. So you've really, really got to, in your mind, kind of set what the scoring pace is going to be and, be realistic. So I think going to that day, I was in like 8th or 9th going into that day. So for me, it was like, okay, just make your spares, 70, 80 under is not a bad score. Let's just, go through the process. But man, you start bowling and you just it's so hard to convince yourself that 70 or 80 under is an okay score, because any other tournament you bowl 70 or 80 under, you're just all of a sudden you flip the sheet upside down, you're at the bottom.
Right.
So trying to convince yourself of that was really, really hard. I went through a period of time that I threw straight balls at the head pin just because I genuinely had no idea what to do and no idea. So I would bet that I probably for 3.5 games just gave him the high hard one at the head pin, literally not knowing what to do. Just like,
wow,
felt like everything you did split, everything you did was wrong. I felt like throwing straight balls at the head pin, I could at least clean up the spare and make a mark. But yeah, I mean it was tough, man. It was definitely the hardest experience I've ever had bowling.
And I want to say I was at work watching that tournament, and I think I've seen a lot of 2-8-10s, a lot of washouts and all of that on that pattern. It might have been that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was, because the other 2 days were actually fairly decent scoring. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those that there was no forgiveness right or left. You missed right, it split or washed out. You missed a little in, it was big foreign. It just didn't matter either direction.
Okay. Yeah, it was that day then.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. At that point, you eliminate the pattern, you throw straight balls. For me, like I almost turned it into the Peterson. You throw straight balls at the head pin, you make your spare, you try and bowl 170, 180, and you move on, and you hope you catch a double or a triple and bowl 200. But yeah, I think I bowled. I think all in, I think I ended up bowling like 125 under that day, and still made the cashers round. I think I ended up like 19th or 20th, still bowling 125 under for the day. So yeah, that's how brutally bad that was. So that's by far the hardest thing I've ever bowled on.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, what is your best moment traveling with your crew, your little bowling crew, your little clique?
Best moment, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really. The only moment that really stuck out this year. I mean, we didn't really have too many. We had a lot of fun along the way, but we pretty much revolved everything around bowling. We didn't get much free time to really do anything.
Yeah.
This year it was me, my brother, and AJ Chapman. We decided we were just going to drive the whole thing. It was way cheaper. You didn't have to book plane tickets. You didn't have to book a rental car. So we just took my truck. So it seemed like it was a lot easier. Yeah, we really didn't have a whole lot of free time. Yeah, I mean the only moment that really sticks out, I'm not going to really say is a good moment, but we had a little we almost had a pretty tragic incident at our Airbnb in Columbus, I think. For some reason, I was in the shower. Yeah, I was in the shower, and the guy that owned the Airbnb, I guess he just decided that he was going to come and go in the house as he pleased. So I hear the doorbell ring. So I, kind of hop out of the shower, dry off a little bit, and there was nobody. Well, Michael was actually there. Michael Holloman was staying with us, and he was in his room, which was right next to mine. So I hop out of the shower, put a towel on, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna run downstairs. I figure it's a package or something, nothing important.
Yeah.
And I hear somebody downstairs, and I'm like, what? And so I'm like, okay, well, it's Michael. Well, I turn around and Michael's standing right there. And I'm like, okay, well, my brother and AJ don't have a card to get back. So I'm like, okay. So I went back to my bag, grabbed something out of my bag, and come around the corner, and dude's walking up the stairs right in front of me, and it was almost bad. Yeah, the guy had just decided that he was just going to come in the house, like he needed to come get something, and he was just going to come in the house. And I told him, I was like, man, like I know it's your house, but we're renting it for the week. Like, you can't just really come and go as you please in here. So that was really the only interesting thing that happened, though. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a few casinos. Had some good meals, some places. But yeah, I mean, there really wasn't anything that really stuck out, to be honest with you, other than that. But that wasn't a good incident.
Man, hey, does twin rivalries really exist?
I can't really speak for other people, but no, not really for us. I personally don't think so. The majority, it's like I always explain to him, all the time, and I explain to everybody else, every tournament we bowl, more than one person makes money. Like, you're only going to have one winner in the end, but a lot more people than that make money. So, I'm always very supportive of him, just like I feel like he's supportive of me. Even when we are bowling the same tournaments, if we're close enough, we'll try and help each other out. Tell the other one what we think is going on, what we're kind of, seeing and whatnot. I will say, when we do bowl each other, that it does get very, very competitive when we do actually bowl each other. But in the same tournament, no. I'm going to, Sean, I always blame Sean. He actually, I feel like Sean cost me a regional title not too long ago. We were bowling each other in match play, and he wasn't having a very good run at it that day. And I was leading, and he got a little upset and kind of pushed my ball back into the ball return deal. And it got stuck in the ball return and left all the belt marks on the ball. Back, and it's covered in the rubber for the belt marks, and I'm trying to wipe them off and everything, and now I'm mad, and so that whole thing turned into a disaster. But I mean, it was all in fun, I mean, we get very competitive, and we want to beat each other when we bowl each other. But yeah, as far as if we're not heads up against each other, no, we're very supportive of one another. And I don't want to say they're twins, but they're the ones I get to see the most. I feel like Darren and Michael are a lot the same way.
Yeah.
They're very supportive of each other. They watch each other bowl when the other one's not bowling. They help each other out when they can. I'm sure it's the same thing when they do bowl each other. They want to beat each other. But I always feel like the sibling rivalry isn't really there with a lot of people until they bowl each other, But other than that, I feel like the majority of siblings that I've encountered are all very supportive of one another.
Okay. Hey, look, I'm looking over here. We don't have any. We have a couple of viewers here and there, but there's no questions. So whenever you have a chance, I'm sure they were asking you some questions on here. I don't know. I guess they're doing some kind of maintenance work. Go figures, right? But hey, here goes. Hey, I heard you're a picky eater.
Yeah.
What does that really mean?
I don't think I'm that picky. For me, it's just kind of hard down here because I don't really care for Mexican food because I never really grew up with it. So I've always been more of like I'm a big seafood guy.
Yeah.
But most of the people I know don't like seafood, but they all call me picky because I don't like Mexican food because that's what the majority of people down here eat. And that's what they always want to go get. So,
Right.
I'm pickier than some people. I'm not one of those people that'll just grab anything and eat it, or try everything. There is, I'd say there's a decent amount of things I don't like.
Yeah.
But pretty much anywhere I go, I can find something to eat. Sean's very picky. Sean's chicken and pizza, and that's pretty much about the extent of that one.
Wow.
But me, I don't think I am as much, but yeah, like I said, I get called picky all the time just because I don't like Mexican food. I really don't care for it a whole lot. I'll eat, fajitas every once in a while or a quesadilla every once in a while, but overall, the grand scheme of Mexican food just isn't for me. And everybody down here is like, "Oh, let's go get Mexican. Let's go get Mexican. Let's go get Mexican." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'd rather go get seafood." "Oh no, we don't like seafood." I'm like, "Okay, but I'm picky because I don't like Mexican food, but you don't like seafood." So, yeah, that's how that usually plays out. But I don't think I'm too bad, honestly.
And so what's crazy is I don't eat seafood at all. No seafood,
Okay.
but I love Mexican.
Yeah, and to me, that's how most people are. Like I don't run into very many people that really and truly like seafood, and for me, that's my favorite. Like I could go eat seafood, every single day, and it's been tough with this this lockdown because seafood doesn't really travel well. So I'm not going to order seafood from a restaurant and get it to go. It's just
No.
not going to work. So I haven't got to have it in a while. But yeah, me and my buddy Eddie, we always try and hit up Papados. Usually once every couple weeks, we go to lunch together. But yeah, Papados is probably one of my favorite restaurants by far.
There you go. Hey, what is this fascination I hear you with Buffalo Wild Wings?
No, and that's Sean too. Like we end up there a lot because that's one of Sean's favorite places to go, and they have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Sean's the one that's really, really, really in love with that place. It's okay. I don't mind it. I like going there because you can have a beer, you can watch the TVs. They always got the sporting events going on.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of times we end up there is because we're there to watch a game or we're there to watch a UFC fight or something like that. So that's
Right.
a lot of times like when we're out of town, how we end up there. The other thing is they're really the only place that's really open past about 9:00 too. So
Yeah.
a lot of times when we're out of town, like Chili's and Fridays and Roadhouse and all those places, like the kitchen for the most part closes at 9:30. Well,
Right.
a lot of times when we get done bowling at 8:30, 9:00, we want to sit down and have some kind of dinner or things like that. And man, a lot of times that's what ends up being the only thing open. So, even when we're out bowling tournaments and like that, you actually see quite a bit of bowlers at, Buffalo Wild Wings fairly often. I know EJ and Ronnie, they go there a ton because, it's really the only place open to sit down and have a drink and just chill out for a little bit after you get done bowling when it is 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Right. Tell me this. I heard you're a big sports fan.
Huge sports fan.
Hey, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady and your boy going over to the Buccaneers?
So I'm okay with Brady doing it. I completely understand. I am a little heartbroken by it. I thought we were going to get 2 more years out of watching him play. But I do understand it. The Patriots didn't really take care of him in this situation. They didn't really have the cap room, honestly, to take care of him.
Right.
But, he's been taking pay cut after pay cut after pay cut pretty much his entire career. And, he had, He had 2 years left. He advocated all last year that he wanted weapons around him. He wanted to go get, he wanted them to go get him a big receiver.
Right.
They got him Antonio Brown, but unfortunately that didn't work out. And N'Keal Harry, I'm a big N'Keal Harry fan, but he missed the first 12 games of the year. So him and Brady just didn't have that connection at the end of the season. Yeah. Things just weren't working out there. It didn't seem like the front office wanted to give him the weapons that he wanted. They also didn't want to pay him the money that he was worth. So I understand him leaving, and I'm okay with it. And I'd love to see a Patriots Bucks Super Bowl. Not sure that that's realistic on the Patriots end this year, but I'm a diehard fan, and I'm going to hope for it. I hope Brady has a lot of success because he's in the NFC. The Patriots really don't have to worry about him.
Right.
They don't play each other this year. So, I do hope he has success. I'm not going to be a Bucks fan by any means, but, I do hope he has success there. Gronk, on the other hand, is a completely different story. That one was pretty frustrating. He kind of teased with all the fans last year, the entire year, about it coming back and making an appearance at the end of the year and giving Brady that weapon that he wanted. And, I feel like even at a time there, Brady thought he was going to come back, and then he just never did. And,
right.
He finally was like, no, I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm not. And he, started the whole doing whatever he was doing with wrestling and, made it pretty clear that he wasn't going to come back. And then, Brady goes to the Bucks, and now all of a sudden he wants to play football again. So that one kind of, as a fan, rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Right.
Like he tugged all last year at our heartstrings, telling us he was going to come back and things like that. And I think the season would have been completely different last year had he come back. But now all of a sudden, just to get up and jump ship, and it's pretty unfortunate. He forced the Patriots' hand into trading him. They didn't really get the return on him that they should have.
Right.
So yeah, that whole situation as a fan kind of rubbed me the wrong way with him. But I'll love Brady forever. He didn't do anything wrong. He did what was best for his career.
There you go. Hey, what are your thoughts on Mookie Betts? How is he as a bowler? Have you bowled with him?
No. So I didn't. The 1 year that he bowled the World Series, I was actually injured, so I didn't bowl that year. And then we were on opposite squads in Arlington this year, and trying to watch when he was bowling, it was just insane. The ITRC isn't a huge place, so they were pretty crammed in there trying to watch him bowl. So I didn't really get to see him much bowl.
Okay.
But anybody that can shoot 300 on the sport patterns that we bowl on, they know how to bowl. And I do believe that if he, with the natural talent that he has and the amount of knowledge that he has of bowling at, right now, that if it was something that he put his mind to, that I believe he could do it professional level. Obviously, that's never going to happen with baseball and things like that. But
when they throwing all that money out there, baseball at him.
I do believe that they do have the talent, that he does have the talent, that if he did want to compete professionally, I do believe that he could. I unfortunately haven't got the pleasure of personally meeting him. I was a Red Sox fan since I've been 7 years old. Like I said, baseball's always been my first love. Growing up in Rhode Island, Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics. So I was a huge Red Sox fan, before he was ever there. So it was really cool that, the guy that is associated with bowling was, a Boston Red Sox. I can't begin to tell you how upset I was with that trade, trading to LA. I understand, and you hear a lot of things. You hear that he wanted to leave. You hear that, the front office didn't want to pay him. You hear all these things, and nobody really knows what's going on. So,
right.
So I understand wanting to get David Price's contract off the books. It was a pretty underwhelming performance based on what they paid him. But very, very disappointed to see him leave. And, not a huge fan of the guy they got in return, Verdugo, or however you say his name. Yeah, not a huge fan. Hoping it works out. But again, this might be a tough season for Boston sports fans if whenever they get this up and running. Sales out for a while. He had Tommy John surgery, so he's gone for a while. So might be a rough year for Boston sports fans.
Hey, what are your thoughts on true action bowlers and action bowlers that have stipulations?
I think it depends on what the stipulations are, because it gets to a point, that it's not, it gets to a point that it's not a true match, and that it does end up that, both sides are very talented, but the way things are set up, it's very in favor of one person. I will tell you, like me personally, we do a couple of the big team tournaments down here, and they've done Chris Turner's trying to get some of the action matches going afterwards.
Yeah.
And he's had a decent amount of success for it. I remember, I believe it was the Kickoff Classic tournament that he had 12 or 15 matches going afterwards. And I mean, it was a pretty good turnout. But for me, I'll be honest with you, I was one of the ones, and I had one stipulation, was you had 5 guys on a lane, so you had 10 on a pair for 3 games. My stipulation was I didn't want to bowl a left-hander. To me, I'll bowl a left-hander anytime as long as we're bowling on, fresh.
Right.
But I don't want to bowl, a left-hander when there's been 30 games or however many on the right side, and there's been no games on the left side, or maybe 1 or 2 games. Like, to me, that gets to a point where both sides could be equally as talented, but, you have that much transition on the right, they're that torched on the right, and the left is fresh. Like, that just gets to a point where it's just not fair.
Absolutely.
So, to me, it depends on what the stipulations are. Outside of that, and outside of bowling my best friends, for more than, $20 a game, maybe when we're just out having some fun, those are really my only 2 stipulations. So like I said, it would completely, truly depend on what the stipulations were. So yeah, that's kind of a tough one for me. I think the people that have no stipulations and they're willing to bowl left-hander when there's been 50 or 60 games on the right side and none on the left, I don't think that's a very smart move, but that's awesome that they have the confidence that they can beat anybody at any time, and I'm the same way. I've bowled $1,000 action games, so I've bowled for a decent amount of money, and
Right.
I'll bowl anybody at any time. I'm not scared to bowl anybody, but I'm also not going to bowl someone who I feel like is, on the same level as I am. And then it's a completely, unfair playing field as well either. I'm not just trying to throw money away either.
So you bowl a lefty. If you walk in the bowling alley, no games with bowl. It's you and the lefty. Y'all good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you pull out the lane machine, you run the house shot. And I don't even care if it's one of those centers where they say the left's better than the right or the right's better than the left. Like, that stuff doesn't matter. If you pull out the lane machine and you run the regular house shot, I bowl left-hander absolutely anytime. Doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Okay, hey, that's good. There you go, man. Hey, tell us. Like I said, I know we ain't got no comments over there, so I just had some questions jotted down. But hey, tell us one thing we don't know about Anthony, man. What are we missing?
What are you missing?
Yeah,
man, I don't know. I mean, most everything. Most everything is out there. I love the people that support me. I love talking to people. I always take the time to talk to everybody, whether you stop me in a bowling center, whether you message me on Facebook. I always take the time to answer everything, try and talk to people. I just love talking to people. I love the position that I'm in. I really do. And I'm very grateful to be able to do what I do and to be in the position that I'm in. Man, it's tough though. Everybody knows my diehard Boston sports fan. Everybody knows the type of music I pretty much listen to. I put a lot of music out there on Snapchat and on Facebook, trying to promote the kind of music that I listen to, because there just isn't a lot of people that listen to it.
right.
I guess something maybe that a lot of people don't know, I do collect shoes. I have a pretty, not extravagant, but I have a pretty decent shoe collection. I got about 35 pairs in my shoe collection. Probably 10 of them I don't wear, and probably about 25 of them I do wear. So I do pretty big into shoes. I do have a decent little shoe collection. But yeah,
now, shoe collection as in like Jordan, Air Max, like.
I got a couple pairs. I got probably 7 or 8 pairs of the different Air Maxes. I actually just bought the LeBron Space Jam shoes. Those are kind of neat. But I put those away because I think the Michael Jordan Space Jam shoes are worth a little bit of money. So I think if supposedly if this movie with LeBron and Space Jam ever comes out, like I've heard it's supposed to for the last 5 years, I actually put those away. I'm not going to wear those. I think they might be worth a little bit in a couple years. I got a couple pairs of the Pharrell NMDs. Those are in a box. Those are worth a little bit of money.
Yep.
I got a lot of pairs of the regular NMDs. Those are probably my favorite shoes. Got a few pair of Ultra Boosts. I got three or four pairs of Jordans, but I don't wear those. Those are just in a box. So yeah, I kind of got a little bit of everything, kind of all over the map here. Just anything I look is cool. Actually, just ordered a pair yesterday. I went back and forth for quite a while on whether to order them or not. It's anybody that's familiar with SpongeBob, Kyrie Irving put out a shoe, and they keep it's the Squidward ones.
Okay, the pink
so
ones. They pink.
Huh?
Are they pink?
No, they're kind of like a seafoam green.
Oh, seafoam green. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. So I actually ordered those yesterday. I've been going back and forth on ordering those. So yeah, I kind of got a little bit of everything, man. I'm kind of all over the map. To me, it's kind of a little bit like the stock market. I use some of them I buy, and I think they're going to go up in value. Anything that has any relation to famous character or famous movie or things like that. I don't wear those right away. I put them away for a while. I mean, that's probably the only interesting thing that really people don't know about me. For me, I'm a pretty simple guy. It's sports, music, and bowling. That's 3 things that my life really revolves around.
Okay. Well, like I said, I know like for myself, I was never really a big Jordan shoe type person. I had some growing up. As I got older, I bought a couple pairs here and there. So this morning, the 5s dropped.
Yeah.
And I tried to get them, and I didn't.
They're tough to get, man. It's just like the Yeezys nowadays. Like you gotta enter the contest. You gotta be picked to buy them. You don't go wait in line at Foot Locker anymore.
Right.
Everything's automated on the computer. You enter yourself into the drawing. If you win the drawing, you get to buy them. If you don't, you don't. But man, they're tough. That's why they're worth so much money too. I've got, like I said, I've got 3 or 4 pairs of Jordans. I don't wear them. They're not something I like wearing. But yeah, I just have them stashed in the closet, to see if maybe you buy the right pair and they go up quite a bit in value, or even if they just go up a little bit, you sell them and make a little bit of money off of them. But yeah, man, they're tough to get. Those limited edition release shoes, yeah, they're tough. Without like GOAT or StockX or something and just buying them, but buying them for the release cost is tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, like I said, I was up 7 a.m. dude. Soon it go boom. I pushed the button. Oh, and it's like pending, and next thing I know, it kicked me out. Was like, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I mean, and you can always go to GOAT or StockX and buy them, but it might cost you, $100, $150 more than what they were on there. Depends on how much they're worth it to you. You good?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. Dude, hey, dude, I appreciate you coming on, bro. And like I said, guys, it was whatever this is doing, wasn't able to shoot my questions, dude. Y'all heard Anthony. He said he will respond to you guys. If you guys, I have any questions for him, just on this live feed here or on Facebook, put your questions in, and I'm sure he'll respond to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that has anything they want to know, if you have any questions about the 900 Global products, the PBA Tour, anything like that, you can shoot me a private message on my Facebook page. Or you can drop a comment in here, and I'll go back through this afternoon and scroll through the comments, give everybody a little bit of time for this whole thing to get fixed and for you to post some comments, and I'll go through and answer everything the best I can.
Hey, how is it being before you got with 900 Global? Who were you with anybody else?
No, 900 Global was my first staff contract. I've been on staff with 900 Global for, I think this is year 6. So they took a chance on me quite a while ago, really before I was, anybody. But they took a chance on me, and I've been very happy with the product, been very happy with the people. So moving forward, I don't see anything changing for the foreseeable future. I've been very, very happy with them and everything that they're doing, and man, I just can't say enough good things about the products and about the company as a whole as well.
Hey, that's what's up there. What is your favorite ball?
This is something else I kind of talked about a little bit the other day. I've kind of had a little bit of a progression over my time with Global with my go-to favorite ball. So it started out, it was the Honey Badger for a long time. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, it was the Dream Big.
Yep.
The Dream Big was my go-to ball. Use that ball everywhere. It was kind of my bailout ball. From there, we went Honey Badger.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the Honey Badger, it was the White Hot. And then from the White Hot, now it's the Money Badger Tour. So it seems like every couple years they come out with a new ball that kind of replaces the previous one as my go-to ball. But yeah, that's the one good thing about Global. I've always I've always been able to use all of their equipment. You know, there isn't very many balls that I just really haven't used. All of them have served a purpose somewhere for something at one time or another.
Yeah.
But I've always had that one benchmark go-to ball that I had, the utmost confidence in, that I feel like I could use it at, any time, regardless of what we were bowling on. So that's been the one really cool thing. There's always been that one staple benchmark ball in there for me. And right now it's the Money Badger Tour.
All right, then here you go. Being on tour, do you see yourself using more ASIMs or SIMs?
It just completely depends, honestly, on what we're bowling on. I this year used the Money Badger Tour quite a bit. That was pretty much my go-to ball every week. The last couple events I used Volt Solid a lot too. So it's really, I mean, there's a lot of mix. I mean, it really, really just depends. The unique thing about the Money Badger and the Money Badger Tour is that they're a very small ASIM. They're not asymmetric by very much. So even when you move it in and you really start to open the lane up with it, you're still able to use it. Did I lose you? Did you freeze on me? Oh, you did. All right, Brandon, what are we doing here? Well, I'm going to keep talking, even though we lost him. If he doesn't come back after, after I finish this little spiel, then we'll disconnect. Well, now what are we doing? All right, guys. Well, it looks like I'm on here by myself. So it looks like I'm your new host until Brandon comes back. Looks like Brandon's having some technical difficulties. I think he just messaged me. He did. Give me 1 second. I'm going to message him back because he lost connection. All right, so we lost Brandon. So I'm going to sit here and talk for another minute or so, give him a chance to get back. If he can't get back, then we'll call it a session and wrap this up, and we'll let him get with you later. So what we were talking about was using ASIMs or hold on. All right. So I'm going to finish this real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. So ASIMs versus symmetricals. ASIMs usually sooner. They don't change direction as much down the lane. They're a little smoother overall shape. I use both of them quite a bit. It really just depends on what we're bowling on. Money Badger Tour are kind of unique. They're very, very small ASIM. They're very barely asymmetric. So they're kind of a unique ball that I can, jump left with and still be able to use it when I move left. So I use a little bit of everything. It really, really, truly just depends on what we're bowling on. Everybody. So I apologize for this ending. It sounded like he had a couple more questions, but he had a power outage in his neighborhood, so he kind of lost everything. So we're gonna call that the end. Like I said, anybody has any questions? I don't know what was going on with the comments down here. Anybody has any questions? Leave them in the comments. I'll come back and try and answer them later this afternoon. If you have something that you really, really want to ask, send me a private message on my Facebook. I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. It does take me a little bit of time sometimes to answer them, but I will get back to you as quickly as I can. So everybody have a great afternoon. Have a great Saturday. Hope you enjoy your weekend. And everybody remember, go global.
Sorry, guys. Hey, I don't know what happened. Had a little power outage. I'm back, but like I said, Anthony told y'all, wrapped it up for me. Like I said, so sorry. I don't know. That was crazy. But like I said, go on Facebook, ask Anthony questions. Because like I said, they're doing some kind of maintenance here on StreamYard today. So, all right, man. You guys have a blessed day.